sky was peaceful, until it cracked open like glass. No one saw the first attack coming. 1 minute, Earth was quiet. The next, ships were falling from the clouds like thunder. People screamed, cities burned. And the enemy? Tall, powerful, alien warriors in black armor, cold eyes, no mercy. Sergeant Ray Carter didn't have time to think. He was resting in his small army base when the alarms blared. Within 10 minutes, he was already on the battlefield, rifle in hand. Dust filled the air, smoke rising like ghosts from shattered buildings. "They're not here to talk," said his commander over the radio. "Shoot anything that moves." Ray was fast, strong, smart, but nothing prepared him for what he saw. The aliens were massive. Some stood 8 feet tall. Their armor looked alive, and they didn't speak. They just hunted. He watched one of them tear through a tank like it was made of paper. Still, humans didn't back down. Ray led a small group through broken streets. His goal? Protect a group of trapped civilians inside an old school. When he reached the place, it was already surrounded. He didn't wait. With quick hands and steady aim, he and his team attacked from the shadows. The battle was brutal. Fast, close, dirty. Blaster fire lit the night and screams echoed down every hall. But then, Ray kicked open a classroom door and froze. Inside, kneeling on the floor, was a female alien warrior. She wasn't like the others. Her armor was cracked, helmet missing. Blood, blue and glowing, dripped down her face. She looked up at him with strange, shining eyes, wide with fear. Her voice was soft, trembling. "Don't kill me, human." Ray raised his weapon. She didn't move. "I'll do anything," she whispered. "I'll warm your bed if I must, just don't end me." Ray blinked. Was this a trick? Her hands rose in surrender. She knelt lower, pressing her forehead to the ground. "I have failed my squad. I'm alone. I'm not your enemy anymore." He looked at her, really looked. This was a warrior, a proud killer. Yet here she was, begging for her life like a frightened child. Ray slowly lowered his rifle. Why would a deadly alien offer herself? To a human? He asked. She didn't reply, not at first. Then softly, "Because you humans are monsters in war. Even we fear you now." That made Ray pause. Outside, the battle still raged. But something had changed in that room. A strange silence. 2 enemies staring at each other, not with hate, but something else. Trust? No, not yet. But maybe the start of something unexpected. Ray didn't lower his guard completely. His rifle was still pointed, just in case. But the alien girl didn't move. She stayed kneeling on the cold floor, glowing blood dripping slowly from her cracked brow. Her strange armor had broken open at the sides, revealing pale, slightly luminous skin beneath. She looked powerful, but helpless. "I don't understand," Ray said carefully. "You came here to conquer us. Why are you begging now?" She looked up at him, pain in her golden eyes. "I never wanted this war. I was born into it. My people, my caste. We're raised to obey. I fought because I had to. But after seeing what your kind did, how you fought without fear, without mercy, I started to question everything." Ray's grip on his weapon tightened. He didn't trust her. But something in her voice felt honest. Real. "What's your name?" he asked. The alien flinched slightly, surprised by the question. "Valari," she whispered. "War class unit. 12, squad 7. But that doesn't matter anymore. I'm a defect now. My own people left me to die." Ray lowered the gun a little. "Why offer that?" he asked, voice sharp. "You said you'd warm my bed. Why would a warrior say that?" Valari looked away, shame clear on her face. "It's our survival law. If captured, we can offer our bodies in exchange for life. It is old tradition, ancient, but I do not say it with pride. I say it because I do not want to die here, cold and forgotten. She suddenly coughed, groaning. Her arm slipped, and she fell to the floor fully. Ray stepped forward, instinct not thought, and knelt beside her. Her armor was burned along the back and her breathing was shallow. He cursed under his breath. She was wounded badly. She might be an enemy, but leaving her to bleed out here, that wasn't him. I should leave you, he muttered. Valari's lips curled faintly. Then do it. But if you don't, I owe you a life debt. We do not break those. Ray stared down at her. A life debt? From an alien warrior? He sighed. Damn it. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a small stim pack. It wasn't made for alien biology, but it might help. He pressed it against her side. Valari gasped, her fingers clutching his arm in reflex. Her touch was strong, too strong, but then she relaxed, her breathing easing. Why are you helping me? She asked softly. Ray stood, still watching the door. Because maybe this war needs one act of mercy. He heard distant gunfire outside. I have to get back to my squad, he said. Valari looked up, her voice faint. They'll shoot me on sight. Then you better stay close, Ray replied, and keep that bed-warming offer to yourself. Her lips twitched in the smallest smile. As you command, human. He didn't know it yet, but saving Valari would change everything. For her, for him, and for the war. Ray pushed open the shattered school doors, rifle raised. Smoke drifted in from the ruined city streets. Fires burned in the distance. But this time, he wasn't alone. Valari followed 2 steps behind him, limping, silent, her broken armor scraping softly as she walked. She moved like a shadow, head down, golden eyes always scanning. Her body still trembled from her wounds, but she didn't complain. Ray didn't speak either. If his team saw her, they'd shoot. If her people saw him helping her, they'd burn him alive. They weren't allies, not yet. But for now they had the same goal, survive. He ducked into an alley and waved her forward. We're heading toward the evac point, he whispered. My squad's fallback location. Valari didn't answer right away, then, they won't accept me, you're soldiers. They don't have to, Ray replied. Just stay out of sight. If anyone asks, you're my prisoner. She gave a soft, bitter laugh. A prisoner who walks freely beside her captor? You're injured. Makes it believable. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Then, gunfire cracked nearby. Ray grabbed Valari's arm and pulled her into a collapsed store. They crouched behind shelves as shadows passed outside. 3 alien warriors. Valari went stiff. That's my squad, she hissed. They'll kill me for defecting. Ray watched them move, scanning the area with long rifles. They were massive, even taller than Valari, and completely silent. Then one of them paused, sniffed the air. Ray tensed. Valari whispered, They can smell my blood. We have to move, now. Ray nodded and led her through the back exit. They ran across rubble, dodging broken metal and glass. Valari slipped once, but Ray caught her. Her hand clutched his tightly for a moment longer than needed. When they reached a broken wall overlooking the evac road, they saw it. A human APC. Was there engine-running soldiers guarding the perimeter? Ray waved. That's our ride. Valari didn't move. What? He asked. She looked at him uncertain. If I go with you? I won't survive. They'll interrogate me, maybe torture me. Ray sighed. I'll say I found you surrendering. That I saved you for intel. Valari gave him a strange look. Why keep protecting me? Ray paused. Because I think you're not like the others. You could have stabbed me 10 times already. But you didn't. Valari opened her mouth to speak, but stopped. Her body tensed. Behind them a loud roar echoed. One of her own soldiers had spotted them. A tall warrior, his armor burning red, raised a massive plasma cannon. Traitor! He bellowed in her native tongue. Valari spun around, shield flaring, to life just in time to block the blast. The energy wave threw both her and Ray backward. Ray crashed against the wall, dazed. Valari groaned, blood dripping again from her side. The alien soldier advanced fast. Ray blinked through the smoke, then reached into his belt. Grenade. Pulled the pin. Tossed. The explosion knocked the alien off his feet. Valari rushed forward and delivered a brutal knee to her former comrade's chest. He roared, grabbing her throat until Ray shot him in the back. Once. Twice. The giant collapsed. Silence. Both of them stood there, breathing hard. Valari wiped her mouth, then looked at Ray again. You fought beside me. Ray gave a half smile. I told you, stay close. For the first time, she nodded with respect. Maybe this human wasn't like the others either. The human soldiers raised their guns the moment Ray stepped out of the smoke, hands up. Sergeant Carter, what the hell? Ray didn't flinch. His body was bruised, his face covered in ash. And behind him limped Valari, the alien warrior every soldier had been told to kill on sight. She surrendered, Ray shouted quickly, voice sharp but calm. She gave up her weapon, she's valuable, she has intel. The captain, a hard-looking man with cold blue eyes, stepped forward. You're dragging in one of them? You out of your damn mind? Ray took a breath. She saved me. That was the lie. Valari looked down, silent. She understood what he was doing, but said nothing. Ray continued. One of her own turned on her, shot her. I saw it myself. I think she knows things, plans, weak points, maybe codes. We'd be stupid not to use her. The soldiers looked unsure. The air around Valari seemed to throb with danger. She was too tall, too alien, too silent. But she wasn't fighting. She stood still like a prisoner, breathing slow, blood still dripping down her side. The captain stared at her. Is that true? He asked. Valari met his eyes. Yes, I have information. I offer it in exchange for protection. Her voice was calm, almost regal. The captain looked at Ray. If she pulls anything, I'll shoot you before I shoot her. Fair, Ray said. They helped her into the armored vehicle. Ray sat beside her as the door shut. Inside, soldiers stared. One muttered under his breath. Another gripped his gun tighter. Valari sat silently, hands in her lap, eyes lowered. Ray whispered, You okay? I owe you again, she replied. No, he said. We're even now. She looked at him, something unreadable in her golden eyes. As the vehicle rumbled down the broken road, heading toward the nearest human command post, Valari broke the silence. Told you I would warm your bed, she said softly. But I think you are the one protecting me. Ray coughed, embarrassed. Let's just not talk about that in front of the guys. She smirked faintly, just for a moment. The vehicle shook as a bomb exploded nearby, but they kept going. They had made it out. For now. But Ray had no idea what kind of storm he had just walked into, because humans wouldn't trust her, and aliens would hunt her. And somewhere in the middle, Ray had lied to protect someone who might still be a killer. But something inside told him she was different. And Valari? She watched him from the corner of her eye, thinking the same thing. The military outpost was small, hidden inside an old steel refinery on the edge of the war zone. Guards lined the walls, drones buzzed overhead, and every eye followed Ray and Valari as they stepped off the transport. No one smiled. No one welcomed her. Valari walked with her hands behind her back, acting like a prisoner. Her wounds were still open, but she held her head high like a warrior refusing to show pain. A woman in a white coat approached them. Dr. Harper, head scientist, lead interrogator, cold as ice. So, this is the alien traitor, she said, circling Valari like a hawk. You said she has intel? Ray nodded. She was left for dead. I think she wants to trade knowledge for safety. Dr. Harper's eyes narrowed. Or she's playing us. Valari spoke for the first time. If I were playing you, I wouldn't have bled for this human. That made the doctor pause. Still, Valari was taken to a sealed chamber. White walls, cold lights, one metal chair in the center. Ray waited outside the one-way glass, fists clenched. He hated it. Inside, Valari sat silently, calm, unshaken. Doctor. Harper entered with a small team, placed a translator device on the table and began. What's your rank? Valari didn't blink. War class, strike unit, royal caste. What's your mission? To fight, to win, to obey. Why did you stop obeying? Valari's voice turned bitter. Because we were sent to kill people. Who fought back, harder than expected. Because I saw children burned. And because one human saved me when he could have ended me. Dr. Harper leaned in. Do you have codes? Base locations? Valari hesitated. Yes. But I will only speak to him. Him? Ray. Outside, the glass. Ray raised an eyebrow. The doctor looked annoyed. Why him? Because I owe him, Valari replied. And because I trust him more than I trust you. Dr. Harper left the room and met Ray in the hall. She's clever. Too calm. You sure you trust her? Ray hesitated. No. But I believe she wants peace. She could have killed me twice. She didn't. She might still be dangerous. Ray looked toward the chamber. So am I. Minutes later, he was inside the room with her. They sat across from each other in silence. Then Valari said quietly, This isn't an interrogation room. It's a test. What do you mean? If I give wrong answers, I'll disappear. You know it. I know it. Ray looked at the camera in the corner, then back at her. I won't let that happen. Valari's eyes met his. You already did. The moment you brought me here. That stung. He leaned forward. Then help me protect you. Give them something. Valari's jaw tightened. Then she nodded. I'll give them a location. An old outpost we used for supply drops. No lives will be lost, but they'll see I'm not lying. Ray nodded. Good. She hesitated, then said softly, You are the first human I have spoken to with no hate in his eyes. If I live, it's because of you. Ray didn't respond. He just placed his hand on hers for a second. 1 second. The door opened. Guards entered. Time was running out for both of them. But this was only the beginning. Ray sat alone in the officer's briefing room, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the closed door. He had just delivered Valari's intel to Dr. Harper, a location of an abandoned alien supply post. Now he waited, wondering if she'd be believed or executed. The door creaked open. The captain entered with a strange look on his face. He dropped a small data pad in front of Ray. What is this? Ray asked. The captain's voice was tight. Satellite confirmed the alien outpost she mentioned. It was real. Empty, but real. Ray sat up straighter. Then she's telling the truth. The captain didn't look convinced. Maybe, but that's not the only thing we found. He tapped the screen. The datapad displayed an alien military roster, glowing names in strange letters. One of them flashed red, Valari's. Ray leaned forward. The translated label made his blood run cold. Designation, Valari Tharvrenkai. Title, Blood Daughter of High Queen Araveth. Rank, Royal Combat Class. First Princess. Princess? Ray breathed. She's not just a warrior, the captain muttered. She's royalty. Enemy royalty. Ray stood. And we've locked her in a box like she's common trash? Exactly why she might be more dangerous than we thought. She's the one who told the truth, Ray snapped. She gave up a location without tricks. She didn't have to help us. The captain looked him dead in the eye, which makes it worse. If this is a political move, if she's pretending to defect, we could be sitting on a time bomb. Ray didn't wait for permission. He turned and walked straight to the holding area. Valari sat quietly on the bench, arms resting in her lap. Her wounds had been bandaged, her armor replaced with a thin jumpsuit. She looked up as Ray entered. They know, he said simply. She didn't flinch. I assumed they would. Your royalty, a princess, was, she corrected softly. Once, before I refused the Queen's war orders. Ray stared. You never told me. I didn't lie, she said calmly. You never asked. He didn't know what to say. For a moment the room felt heavier. Valari finally spoke again. You think I'm here on some secret mission? I don't know what to think, he admitted. She stood slowly. Ray, I was supposed to lead the second invasion wave. Instead, I fled. I chose survival, not domination. That means death by my mother's law. I came to you not as a spy, but as someone who wants to live a life not written in blood. Ray nodded slowly. So, what now? She looked him straight in the eyes. That depends on you. Before he could speak again, an explosion rocked the base. Alarms blared. Valari's expression hardened. They've come for me. Ray grabbed his sidearm. Then we're getting out of here. Together. For the second time in a week they would run side by side. This time not just as soldier and prisoner, but as something more. Allies. Red lights flashed across the walls. The sirens screamed louder with every second. Ray yanked Valari by the hand and pulled her out of the cell block just before the door locked behind them. The ground shook again. Somewhere deep in the base, explosions, controlled, strategic. This isn't random, Ray growled. It's an inside job. Valari didn't speak, but her glowing eyes narrowed. It's her, my mother. The Queen sent assassins. Ray glanced at her. How can you be sure? She would never risk a princess falling into enemy hands. She would destroy the whole base to kill just me. They ran through the corridor, dodging sparks and fallen support beams. Smoke thickened the air. Guards shouted, gunfire echoed, and down the hall. A flash of energy as an alien shock squad breached the side wall. Black armor, glowing eyes, silent. Get down. Ray tackled Valari as a bolt of plasma screamed overhead. It melted the steel wall behind them. Valari rolled out from under him, grabbed a fallen rifle, and opened fire. Her movements were fast, precise. She wasn't just a survivor. She was born for battle. Ray fought beside her. 2 clips later, they broke through to the upper deck, but it was worse there. One of the human officers, Lieutenant Cray, stood beside the assassins. You, Ray shouted. You sold us out? Cray just smirked. You brought the enemy inside. I'm just taking out the trash. Orders from above. Valari's jaw clenched. He's working with my mother. Cray raised his weapon, aiming at her. One royal corpse, and this war ends quicker. He fired, but Ray was faster. The bullet hit Cray in the chest. He dropped, eyes wide, lifeless. Ray didn't wait to explain. Let's move. They reached the launch bay. One small ship remained, damaged but intact. Valari jumped into the pilot seat. You know how to fly this thing? I'm royalty, she smirked, flipping switches. We're trained early. The engines roared, to life. Just as the remaining assassins stormed in, Ray turned, fired a grenade into the entry hatch, and sealed the door shut. The ship blasted out of the crumbling base. Above them, space opened into darkness. Silence. Ray slumped into the co-pilot, seat bleeding from his shoulder. Valari reached for him. You're hurt. I'll live, he groaned. Are we safe? For now, she said, watching the stars stretch around them. Ray looked at her, at the alien warrior who once begged for her life, and now had saved his. So what now? He asked, voice quiet. Valari looked away from the stars and into his eyes. Now we disappear, she said. Together. No more war, no more lies. I owe you my life, Ray, and not because of some survival law. She touched his hand gently. But because you saw me when no one else did. Not as a weapon, not as royalty, just me. Ray didn't say anything. He didn't need to. He simply squeezed her hand back. In the black silence of space, 2 enemies became something else. Not lovers, not warriors. Something in between, built not on power or fear, but a promise. I won't let them take you, Not ever again. And for the first time in her life, Valari believed it. 1 week had passed. Ray and Valari found shelter on a quiet moon orbiting a gas giant. It was an abandoned mining colony, dusty, dry, silent. But it had working power, fresh water, and most importantly, no signals, no tracking. They were alone. And for the first time in a long time, safe. Valari moved without armor now. She wore simple clothes stitched together from scraps. Her glowing eyes had softened. She cooked. She repaired their stolen ship. She even laughed sometimes. Ray had taken to sleeping near her, at first, for safety. But now it felt wrong to sleep without her near. "You never told me about your homeworld," Ray said one evening as they sat beside a small fire made from dried mining chemicals. Valari looked into the flames. "It's not a place. It's a prison dressed as a palace. Everything is chosen for you. What you eat, who you fight, who you marry." Ray raised an eyebrow. "Marry?" She nodded. "Royal blood must stay pure. That's the law. My mother had picked a warlord I hated. I think maybe that's when I first wanted to run." Ray didn't say anything, but his heart felt tight. Valari turned to him. "On your planet, do you marry for love?" "Sometimes," he said. "Other times, people mess it up badly." She smiled. "Still sounds better than being traded like a weapon." The silence between them stretched, but it wasn't awkward. It was peaceful, until a sound broke the quiet, a faint metallic click. Ray jumped up, rifle ready. Valari's expression changed instantly, sharp, focused. She crouched low and scanned the dark. Then, movement. From the shadowy cliffs above, a drone buzzed out of cover, scanning the camp. Valari cursed. "Scout drone, elite class." Ray aimed and fired, one clean shot. The drone exploded in sparks, but the damage was done. "They found us," Valari said grimly. "It broadcasted before you hit it." Ray's voice dropped. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe less." Valari stood, pulling on her boots and reattaching the arm blades she had hidden in a crate. She turned to Ray. "If they come again, this time they'll bring more than assassins. They'll bring recapture units. If they take me back..." "They won't," Ray said, stepping closer. "I'll die before I let them take you." Valari looked into his eyes. "You don't have to fight for me anymore." Ray's voice was firm. "I'm not fighting for you anymore. I'm fighting with you." She stepped closer. Her hand gently touched his chest. "Then maybe tonight, before war finds us again." Ray blinked. "You're not asking me to..." She smirked. "Don't worry, human. I'm not demanding bed warming. This time it's a gift." He smiled back. And beneath the cold stars of an unmarked moon, where two fugitives built their fragile peace, they shared something soft in a world built for war. But the shadows were closing in. Valari stood at the edge of the cliff the next morning, watching the sunrise. The red gas giant filled the sky, casting strange shadows across the rocky surface. Her expression was unreadable. Ray walked up behind her, still a little sore from last night's intense battle, and the moment they'd finally shared before it. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "No, but I will be." He looked out at the same horizon. "You think they're still coming?" "They won't stop," Valari whispered. "Not until my mother sees my corpse, or drags me back in chains." Ray clenched his jaw. "Let her come. I've got enough bullets for a queen." Valari gave him a sad smile. "You don't understand. She doesn't fight with bullets." She turned toward the cave and retrieved a device from their ship. A communicator, something she had secretly fixed during the nights in case she needed to send a warning or hear one. Ray raised an eyebrow. "What is that?" "She left a message," Valari said quietly. "After the drone attack. She wanted me to hear it." He took a step back. "Valari, what if it's a trap?" "It is," she said, but not the kind you think. She activated it. The device hummed, and then a cold, commanding voice filled the air. My daughter, you disappoint me. I allowed you the honor of leading our warriors. I gave you power, purpose, and command. And you fell for a primitive mammal, a human, a bed warmer. Ray stiffened. Valari's face remained still. Return now and I will erase your shame quietly. I will purge the male, your memories, your defiance. You will be pure again, royal again. If you do not, I will erase every world he's ever stepped on. I will burn him out of existence. The message ended with a high-pitched tone, then silence. Ray spoke first. Well, she's charming. Valari finally let out a breath. Now you understand. Ray rubbed his face. So your mom's basically a psychotic space empress. She rules through fear, not love, Valari said. That's why I ran, but I should have known she'd threaten the people I care about. Ray stepped closer. Then we make a stand. Together. Valari looked at him, eyes soft but heavy. If you stay with me, she'll never stop hunting you. Ray shrugged. Then she better bring an army. She touched his face gently. Ray, I was raised to believe humans were weak, foolish, but you... Her voice cracked for a moment. You're more than any warrior I've ever known. Before he could answer, their scanner beeped. Multiple contacts, inbound. Valari's hand tightened on his. She's coming. Ray nodded. Then let's welcome her. They began prepping the base. Traps, weapons, fallback paths. It wasn't much, but it was home now. And when the Queen came, it wouldn't be a silent death. It would be a war for freedom, love, and defiance. The sky turned black before the dropships arrived. Valari stood on the cliff, hair swept by the wind, armored. Once more, Ray stood beside her, reloading his rifle for the 5th time. Below, across the rocky moon surface, shapes landed. Sleek black ships with glowing red symbols. The Royal Empress had arrived, and she hadn't come to talk. She sent an army, Ray said. Valari nodded. She always believed fear brings obedience. Ray checked the last grenade on his belt. We'll teach her humans don't scare easy. Valari glanced sideways. Even now you joke? It's not a joke, Ray said, his voice low. It's a promise. The first wave came fast. Tall warriors in dark armor, weapons pulsing, with alien energy. But the couple had prepared. Mines hidden under rock exploded. A blaster turret Ray built from scrap tore through the front line. Then hand-to-hand combat began. Ray moved like a machine, ducking, striking, shooting. Valari fought. Beside him, her blades glowing blue, cutting through her own people with silent sorrow. She didn't kill for joy. She killed to be free. Then came the real danger. The Queen herself descended. She floated down from her ship, surrounded by elite guards. Her armor shimmered with golden energy. Her eyes locked on Valari, and narrowed with pure disgust. You chose filth over your crown, the Queen spat. Valari stepped forward. I chose to be more than your weapon. Ray raised his gun, but Valari stopped him. This is my fight. The Queen moved fast, almost too fast to see. But Valari was ready. They clashed, mother and daughter, power and rebellion, tradition and freedom. It was brutal. Blades rang, energy cracked, blood spilled, blue and red. Finally, Valari dropped, to one knee, breathing hard. Her mother raised a shimmering spear for the final blow. Bang! A human bullet hit the Queen in the shoulder. Ray stood across the battlefield, smoke rising from his rifle. I said, he growled, she's not alone. The Queen turned, stunned, and that second was all Valari needed. She drove her blade through the royal armor, deep. Her mother gasped, eyes wide, and collapsed. The guards froze. Valari stood tall, bleeding, breathless. You want to follow her, or leave? No one moved. Then slowly, they dropped their weapons. The war was over. Later, in the silence of the ruins, Ray sat beside Valari as she patched his arm. "Guess that's it," he said. She smiled faintly. "You still want me to warm your bed?" He chuckled. "I think it's your bed now." They looked up at the stars, free, together, no longer enemies, no longer alone, just a human and an alien princess who rewrote destiny together.